Alright, no bullshit. Let's get straight into it. Number one tip is prioritize farming souls. They fund everything. Ability upgrades, items, you name it. It contributes to your overall progress throughout the game. Do not forget about them. It's easy to get caught up on fighting, so try to avoid fighting in lane until you kind of understand how to manage farming. And you want to make sure that you're also shooting these statues around the lane on their respawn alongside the crates. You can farm by either meleeing your minions, as you see, or shooting them and shooting the soul orb. Additionally, you can farm by shooting the enemy's soul orbs. As a rule of thumb, you want to avoid fighting your enemy if they have minions alive in the wave, and once you're outside of lane, make sure to kill neutral monsters, break statues and boxes as you see them, and also break vending machines from time to time. Run the urn too, or look for empty lanes with an abundance of enemy minions. Most games are really decided by which team farms the most and takes the most objectives, not the one with the most kills. Tip number 2, very self-explanatory, stay behind your minions in lane. This concept is similar to MOBAs like LoL. They hurt a lot in early game. You also have a healer minion, as you can see. The enemy has a healer minion as well. Try to focus these down to prevent them from getting that free heal. Tip number 3, community builds and the secret shops. It's daunting to try and learn all the items in the game straight away, so avoid that initially and just use the browse builds section. If you check, there's a lot of crazy shit in the names, but just pick whatever you feel like and ignore all that shit. Also be mindful of the secret shops in lane and the secret shops underground. They will help you avoid returning to base a lot of the time. Number 4, abuse your slide button. It's defaulted at control and your slide can do a number of things. Give you infinite ammo, which lets you kill guardians quickly, as you can see in this clip, but it also can be used to extend the length of all your dashes. I would highly recommend you try your hardest to become comfortable with dashing and sliding in any direction, because the movement is omnidirectional and shooting while sliding backwards, sideways or forwards is really important in this game. It's also important to note that sliding relies on momentum, so down terrain or at the end of dashes is the best place to slide, or even jumping off a zipline from time to time. Don't be afraid to leave your lane to heal. I can't count how many times I have trapped enemies under their tower on almost no souls because they refuse to zipline despite having 100 health. Just get out of the lane. Don't get yourself killed or put drastically behind. Melee and parrying is very important in this game. Often a fight can be decided by who gets that extra melee in, or who predicts and parries it. During each reload is often a great time to melee the opponent for extra damage. So you can almost always assume that when your opponent is reloading, they will try to melee you, and you should prepare a parry in order to stun them. This brief exchange in the early game really decides whether you kill someone a lot of the time. So melee when reloading. Number 7, roaming and watching your map. Most of the people who are playing Deadlock are new to the MOBA experience, and because of that, they are ignorant to positioning, which leaves them open for ganks. The difference between you getting a freebie on the enemy lane is simply looking at your map, checking their health on the character portrait every 15 to 20 seconds. You should be also mindful of your own position. If you're far up, do you have stamina or an ability to escape? What's your health like? Be mindful of these things and help keep yourself safe from someone exploiting the same weakness. Tip number 8 is find your playstyle. Now, this sounds a bit self-explanatory, but I'll remind you that this is a shooter and a MOBA. You might be more of a MOBA-sided player and you will look for positioning and you might not have good aim, whereas there is characters that focus on aim. Pick the playstyle you want to pursue and just enjoy it. You don't have to be the greatest aimer to be good at Deadlock. Once you start to feel a bit comfortable, this 9th tip will come in handy. Abuse the confidence of other players for free kills. Deadlock lane design is something amazing about the game in my opinion. It's done in such a way that people who are overconfident are easy to punish. There's no auto-targeting system behind the Guardians, as long as there is a wave in front of the turret. Shove the wave, dive someone low, and you can get a free kill because they're overconfident. The same thing can be done by dashing outside of the lane and killing someone while they're at their secret shop. Yes, there is a way to do that almost 100% of the time. And remember this, you will always get your ultimate at 3,000 souls. Many people are free kills. If you hit this number first, it should be almost guaranteed a free kill 100% of the time if they're near your guardian. Number 10. Check your opponent's build regularly. There are certain items that will come with quirks or requirements to activate that you really want to keep track of because they can impact both the early game and the late game significantly. You also want to keep track of the flat stats they're building. The orange bar indicates weapon damage and the purple bar indicates spirit damage. You want to keep note of the majority builds on their team and try to counter that by building spirit armor or bullet armor or any other items that will help reduce that damage intake. It's pretty easy to check the items people have and their stats. Simply press tab and you will see their stats under their characters, and if you hover over the individual you'll be able to check their items as well. The 11th tip. Grouping is generally bad early game. There's a huge diminishing return on it. Having more than 2 people in a lane early game is not useful, and I'd highly suggest avoiding that so that you can continue to stack up souls and scale out better. The only exception I would make to this is if it's an important team fight, maybe for mid boss, or maybe they have 5 players in another lane and you have to go assist your teammates. But still, farm your neutral minions, shoot your boxes, shoot your statues, and get some souls on the way there and back. The last tip I have for you is to remember that things are broken. As it's only an early access game, some characters are inevitably just unbalanced. You'll figure out pretty quickly who they are. And for me personally, I think all Kelvin players should be eradicated. But keep a happy face. Know that some people aren't beating you because they're good at the game. It's because they're playing Kelvin, and only fucking Kelvin. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe, but I don't really give a fuck about that, to be honest. What I really care about is you watching my video from yesterday. Yeah, go watch it. Deadlock is the best game in a decade. Go watch it. I'm trying to stretch this out to 8 minutes, but make sure you watch it.